Breaking news tonight, President Trump has just signed 3 executive orders that are sending shockwaves through the Washington establishment. We're talking about radical transparency requirements that are forcing government agencies to reveal where every dollar goes. The deep state bureaucrats who've been hiding behind closed doors, well, their time is up. From lowering IVF costs to establishing new oversight of independent agencies, these orders are reshaping how government works. But what the mainstream media won't tell you is how these changes are already saving taxpayers billions. The swamp creatures are running scared, and tonight we will show you exactly why. And just as President Trump is cracking down on government waste, it's time to crack down on the waste in your power bill. While his executive orders expose the deep state's energy waste, your home could be wasting electricity right now. That's why I'm introducing this revolutionary device from don'twastepower.com. It works like Trump's oversight measures, identifying and eliminating waste in your home's electrical system. Like Trump's war on bureaucratic waste, this device fights back against power company greed. Order now for 65% off and start winning your own war against wasteful spending. Now, I checked in on the president's schedule today. He has been at Mar-a-Lago since Valentine's Day when we were there at the White House watching him depart. And some would argue, oh, he's not doing anything. He's just golfing. He's not getting anything done. Well, guess what? President Trump gets stuff done every single day. Whether he's golfing, if he's golfing, he's making decisions. He is affecting this country. He's making America great again. And case in point, okay, he's at Mar-a-Lago signing executive orders. All right, check this out. President Trump signs executive order on expanding access to IVF. Remember, they told you that Trump was not going to do that? Trump was going to restrict reproductive rights? Well, here he is, expanding access. Fact sheet. President Trump expands access to in vitro fertilization. The White House putting out this memo. The team at DOGE has now uncovered this too. Social Security checks are being sent to millions of people no longer alive, from 120 to 129 years old. 3.5 million people. From 130 to 139 years old, 4 million. From 140 to 149 years old, 3.5 million. President Trump is ending waste, fraud, and abuse. Let's listen.
Over 100, but look at this, from 90 to 99, Social Security, 6,054,000 people. Well, that's okay. Maybe that's possible. 90 to 99, maybe it's possible. It's a lot of people, though, at that. But people that live to 100 to 109, 4,734,000. Wow, that's a lot. That means over 100 years old. They're 4 million people. I don't know too many. I know people that are doing great in their 90s, but not too many people over 100. But over 120, from 120 years old, people that are 120 years old up to 129, 3,472,000 people. Wow. That can't possibly be, because the record is like, I think it's one person, a woman, lived to 127, but they have 3,472. Okay, but now we're going really in. People from 130 years old to 139-year-old, 3,936,000. Wow. I wonder if people are getting paid with all this. I mean, are these checks, and that's what we're checking right now. People from 140 years old to 149 years old, 3,542,000, 140 years old and beyond. Now we're really going, because we're looking to break the record by 25 years. People from 150 years old to 159 years old, 1,345,000. These are by the way, these are in the computer files. This is what they do well. They're super. I asked Elon, who are these Doge people? He said they're super brilliant computer people, and they love the country. It's simple. Wait a minute. People from 160 years old to 169 years, 121,000. So 160-year-old people. 170 to 179,000, 6,087. But now, let's go into the real numbers. From 200 to 209 years old, 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866. From 220 years old to 229 years old, 1,039. And then you have two people. From 240 years old to 249 years old, one person. And there's one person that's 360 years old. That's just that.
That's President Trump right there, laying it all out. Holy cow, man. Let's get back into these executive orders. President Trump reads aloud a list of some of the ridiculous projects taxpayers have been funding, like $10 million for circumcisions in Mozambique.
It's called, where's the money being spent, right? Let's go into that for just a second. $520 million for a consultant on the environment. It's called environmental, social, and governance. Investments in Africa and mobilize private sector resources. $520 million. Somebody got $520 million for an environmental, sounds like an environmental study. I've always been one that paid a lot of money for my environmental studies, but I paid like $50,000, not $520 million. $520 million for ESG. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and promote licit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in the country of Colombia. Well, it's nice, $25 million to go into Colombia for something that nobody ever heard of. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. $40 million. $42 million for Johns Hopkins, great place, to research and drive social and behavior change in Uganda. $42 million. What about us? What about social change in our country? $70 million for a center at Purdue to research university-sourced, evidence-based solutions to developmental challenges. I mean, these are massive numbers on things that nobody ever heard about. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcisions. $10 million for circumcisions in another country. $9.7 million for UC Berkeley to develop a cohort of Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills. In other words, let's teach them something about enterprise. What about our people? Can't we teach them about enterprise? $2.3 million for strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. $32 million to the Prague Civil Society Center, which is a very liberal group of people. Wonder how much of that money came back to the people that approved it. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive and participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. Well, why are we giving $21 million to India? They got a lot of money. They're one of the highest taxing countries in the world in terms of us. We can hardly get in there because their tariffs are so high. I have a lot of respect for India. I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister. He just left, as you know, 2 days ago. But we're giving $21 million for voter turnout. It's voter turnout in India. What about, like, voter turnout here? Oh, we've done that, I guess. We did $500 million, didn't we? It's called the lockboxes. $20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. Listen to these numbers. This is all fraud. $19 million for biodiversity conservation in Nepal. $1.5 million for voter confidence. We want to give them confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $2.5 million for inclusive democracies in South Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. They're doing a lot better than we do in the schools, aren't they? $2 million to develop sustainable recycling models to increase socioeconomic cohesion among marginalized communities in Kosovo and Escali and in Egypt. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. I could, by the way, I could read this all day long. I could go on all day long, and you'll see hundreds of billions of dollars. Where's the money being spent, right? Let's go.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Absolutely insane. Oh. Here's more from Rapid Response 4 hours ago, talking about peace, something that the war machine never likes to talk about.
I think I have the power to end. I want to see peace. Look, you know why I want? Because I don't want all these people killed anymore. I'm looking at people that are being killed, and they're Russian and Ukrainian people, but they're people. Doesn't matter where they're from on the whole planet. And I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad for this. He was so bad, so pathetic. It's so sad. But with all of that being said, look, it is what it is. When I left, there was no chance that this could have happened. But it happened because we had incompetent leadership at many different levels. But when you see what's taken place in Ukraine with millions of people killed, including the soldiers, millions of people killed, a big percentage of their cities knocked down to the ground. I don't know how anybody even lives there. You know, when they say they took a poll, and Zelensky's at 4%. Who's living there? You know, I mean, it's hard to believe that people live there. Their cities are being knocked down, and this is something that would have never happened. And by the way, for 4 years, it didn't happen. It was never going to happen. Go ahead.
Yeah. They just kept dumping money into it. Okay, we've got this. Check this out. President Trump talking on limiting the fake news AP's access to privileged spaces such as the Oval Office due to their relentless misinformation.
Illegal. What would it take for you to reconsider the restrictions on the Associated Press? And secondly, some of your advisors are concerned with the Associated Press's style guide, using language and giving guidance to not use words like illegal immigrant or to use phrases like gender-affirming care. And they're concerned about that being an encroaching amount of liberalism in the way in which the press writes about things. Do you share those concerns?
Well, I do think that some of the phrases that they want to use are ridiculous, and I think, frankly, they become obsolete, especially in the last 3 weeks, because many things have happened in the last 3 weeks. And I didn't know about that, but I would say that if they want to use certain phrases like that, and I guess some are okay, but many aren't, but the Associated Press just refuses to go with what the law is and what is taking place. It's called the Gulf of America now. It's not called the Gulf of Mexico any longer. I have the right to do it, just like we have the right to do Mount McKinley, and nobody's even challenging that. But only essentially it's primarily the Associated Press, and I don't know what they're doing, but I just say that we're going to keep them out until such time as they agree that it's the Gulf of America. We're very proud of this country, and we want it to be the Gulf of America. Now, the Associated Press, as you know, has been very, very wrong on the election, on Trump and the treatment of Trump, and other things having to do with Trump and Republicans and conservatives. And they're doing us no favors, and I guess I'm not doing them any favors. That's the way life works. But thank you for the question.
Well, that's the way life works. Okay. President Trump, reporter asks, are you more or less confident of a deal between Russia and Ukraine after today? Let's listen.
Perhaps more confident or less? Thank you, Mr. President. Could you tell us a little bit more about the Russia talks, your impression of how they went today, and if you're perhaps more confident or less confident of a deal after what happened today?
Well, much more confident. They were very good. Russia wants to do something. They want to stop the savage barbarianism. I mean, what's going on over there? It's soldiers are being killed by the thousands on a weekly basis. It's ridiculous. And they're not American soldiers. They're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers largely, although a lot of Koreans have been killed, as you know. Quite a bit of them have been killed. They came over to fight, and a large portion have been wiped out. But we want to end it. It's a senseless war. It should have never happened, would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame to see it. And I see pictures that you don't see, but I see pictures of fields that look just horrible. It looks like Gettysburg. If you see the old pictures of Gettysburg, it's soldiers lying all over the field, body parts all over the field. They're all dead. And this is going on a daily basis. It's a horrible thing. Both Russia and a lot of people have been killed, too. I think that's one of the things that you'll see historically, and you'll see later on as it goes along. I think people are going to be surprised at how many people, not only soldiers, have been killed in Ukraine. A lot more people than you think. Yeah.
Oh, man. Here we have President Trump signing 3 executive orders. Let's listen in. This was just 5 hours ago.
Affordability and a short while ago, President Trump signed three items. The first is an executive order relating to the affordability and availability of in vitro fertilization and other fertility treatments. These are treatments that have become unaffordable for many Americans, or have been unaffordable for many Americans. And the executive order is a directive to the Domestic Policy Council to examine ways to make IVF and other fertility treatments more affordable for more Americans. The second item that we signed was a presidential memorandum imposing radical transparency requirements on government departments and agencies, in keeping with President Trump and the administration's broader commitment to governmental transparency. What this presidential memorandum would do is require, as waste, fraud, and abuse is uncovered, as programs are canceled, and ultimately as taxpayer dollars are saved, this presidential memorandum would require departments and agencies to make all of the details of that freely available to the public. Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
Oh, this is music to my ears, man. Music to my ears. God bless this man. He is doing it, folks. Peace in Russia and Ukraine, exposing the ridiculous stuff going on at the Social Security Administration. If you saw our previous report on this, I mean, the acting head of the Social Security Administration resigned after this was exposed by Doge. So President Trump taking action, executive orders. He is in Mar-a-Lago, and he's still working. So don't believe the fake news, especially from the Associated Press. Now, the numbers don't lie. Trump's executive orders are already delivering results. Government agencies are being forced into unprecedented transparency. Independent bureaucracies are finally facing real oversight. Most importantly, the American people are seeing exactly where their tax dollars have been going. From cutting costs on vital medical treatments like IVF to exposing wasteful international spending, these orders represent the most significant government reform in decades. But here's what has the deep state truly terrified. This is just the beginning of Trump's accountability crusade. So here is tonight's powerful question. Should President Trump extend these transparency requirements to include all congressional spending and staff budgets? Or would that go too far in exposing how Congress really operates? Sound off in the comments below. Enjoying the accountability revolution with our MAGA Avengers gear and Next News swag only at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.